Welcome back to the Padilla family homestead. We are here for another garden day. I left you guys off with filling filling my 22 inch, which is like 16 and a half gallon plastic wine barrels with dirt. It's primarily what I'll be planting in. We had some storms and we got like 9 inches of rain, and 3 of the buckets did not drain well, and 3 to 4 of them, one of them ended up draining. I tried to add some more holes into it with the soil in it, and they ended up sitting with water in them for a few days, which made them stink really bad. But my husband and I talked, and my mom, and we came up with a plan, and I implemented that with 3 of the barrels, and it has worked wonderfully. We had another few inches of rain, and that worked really well. So now I need to go back through and finish doing this to all my buckets and finish topping them off with soil. That way I can get everything in the ground. So I'm actually going to be taking you along with me for that today. I also have out here, let's see if I could just turn this, all my seedlings. They are hardening off. Everything that I've bought at nurseries is already out, and they have been just going through the storms and stuff. So I'll be doing a garden tour probably next week, letting you guys know what's what and what I have where and all of that. But I want to take you along and show you what I did to fix my issue, because I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes. And I don't know if it's so much mistakes as the soil is a lot thinner, and it clogged the holes that I made. I didn't make them large enough, and then I also added rocks to the bottom, and so that helped with drainage. I've never lived in a place that has gotten this much rain, and so this worked, and so I want to make sure I show this to you and help you learn how to problem solve all of this. So we're gonna get this camera over. I'm drinking my coffee really fast. I'm gonna get this camera turned around, and I'm gonna take you through the process. I'll try to talk like this on camera, but I can't find my mic right now. So it's either still packed or didn't make the trip. I don't know. And I'm outside in a neighborhood, so things get loud. So, I mean, it's a Tuesday morning. So if I need to voice over, I'll voice over, but I'm going to try to show you exactly what I'm doing to fix the problem. I also have what we're doing with the tomatoes this year, the trellises and so forth, and trying to get everything just done so that way I can get this stuff in the ground, and just let it start growing better, like have it have better nutrients, better sun, all the things. So these plants are on day 2 of hardening, so they're not going to be ready until probably this weekend. I don't know, if we're really overcast the next few days, I may pop them out, but we'll see. It needs to be really overcast. The thing is, we don't want these to sunburn, and if they sunburn, they can't photosynthesis right, and so we want to make sure that the majority of the plants are hardened off, and their leaves are not super tender to where they don't get burnt and all crispy. So that's what we're looking for. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get going. Okay, so I'm actually going to do a flashback into me working on these buckets, trying to figure out, like, I was trying to get them to drain through the holes and so forth. let you see the issue that I was dealing with, and then we'll jump into how we decided to solve that. We are back out in the garden this morning. The storms are past. We are good. But we got about 9 inches of rain in the last 3 days. And some of my pots did really well in draining. That one. And one of the ones back there. But we have a few that did not. So I just added some more holes to the front, which I'll show you in a second. I'm not quite sure. I think my bit wasn't big enough. I didn't use as big a one as I've used for the asparagus. But these did well. So I don't know. But we're going to come back through. I'm going to show you what I'm kind of doing to problem solve now that these are full. Sorry, this one's not really draining. It's like slowly draining. So we're going to do a bigger bit hole. And I think I'll probably put holes in the side of each of those to kind of help. But like this should be that full. So you could see this is a lot of water. This would kill plants. Luckily I did not start seeds. This stinks too. So we're gonna get this fixed up and going. So this is the one that I had used. This is the one I'm gonna switch to. Big difference. There we go. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in there. So at first I really thought just adding this hole was going to solve the problems, but I realized pretty quickly that wasn't going to be the case and that it just reclogged. I added a second hole to a couple of these, trying to see if that would help with like pressure or something, but it did not. Then I took the shovel and I was really trying to move that dirt out of the way that was in the bottom of the pot. And I would get huge chunks of water coming out, and then it would go where a huge sloppy mess of soil would come out. And so I was really trying to play around with it, but it wasn't working the way I wanted to. At this point, I'm talking to my husband, trying to problem solve the situation. I can also not describe how much this stunk. So the storm had passed. These had been sitting in water for a few days, not realizing that they hadn't drained because it had been raining for a few days. And the ones that were full of water reeked so bad. All the compost was just sitting there and fermenting and being disgusting. Right about here is when I decide something's got to give. My mom brought up using rocks for it. We talked about lifting them off the ground because maybe the grass or something is helping to clog it as well. So we talked about a whole bunch of different options. And you can see I'm getting some progress getting the water out, but not a whole lot. And now we're going to fast forward to a few days later, where I am going to be showing you how I problem solve this. We got another couple inches of rain after all this, and it's just we've had so much rain. So now they're draining well, and I'm going to show you how I fix this to stop it from future issues. Okay, so this bucket is one I had filled. I had already drilled new holes in the bottom, and this was what I was trying to do to help it relieve some of the moisture if the bottom was clogged, and that wasn't even helping. So since this is already re-drilled, I'm just going to add the rocks to the bottom, and then transfer dirt from one bucket to this and then fix that. So I believe I showed you in that clip the size drill bit that I had used and what I had upgraded to, which I kind of knew better when I was doing it, but I thought it would be fine. And I thought it would be fine because the soil was finer, which happened to be the reason why it wasn't fine. So we're gonna get this going. So now I'm also putting them on these cement blocks. That way nothing's growing through it trying to clog that hole either. I really want to make sure we have good drainage. We have rain all summer, so we need to make sure we have good drainage. This is just a pond pebble blend. And then once I have that kind of leveled out, I am making sure the water is flowing through. So I see it coming through the side hole, I see it pouring through the bottom, so we are good. I am just rinsing those off a little. So now the fun begins of transferring the soil from this container to that container. This is actually so much easier this time around than it was the last time, because even though I was shoveling out this dirt, it was still full of water, and so I had to lift it full of water and pour it over this. That way it would drain out, and I would still get the remnants of the soil and the nutrients that was in the water. Once we hit a good point where I can lift this easier, then I'll go ahead and lift it and just dump it. This was one of the ones holding some. This is definitely very stinky. Very stinky. Okay. Ooh, are you all the way on? Hopefully you are. And here you can see, I think, let's bring you closer. Here you can see how small these holes are compared to the hole I drilled on the side. There's a really big difference here. So I'm having to scrape it off the bottom, but I think I got most of it out. We get all the stuff settled off the bottom out, and now I can fix this bucket. And that is pretty much what I did over and over and over again until I finished the rest of my buckets. At first, I was super frustrated by this because I only have so many hours in a day with my work schedule and between the storms and all of the things. And I was like, I am so frustrated that I didn't do this right in the first place for what was going to work. But again, I haven't had to put rocks in the bottom of my containers before. This is my first time using the soil mix and so forth. And my husband really was like, you need to share what you're going through. You need to share how you're fixing it because there's a lot of people who go through the exact same thing you're going through, who did it one way and find out it's not going to work. And so how do you problem solve it? How do you fix it? And are you going to push through or are you going to give up on it? It was funny because it was actually my husband and my mom who reminded me of that. And so I'm very thankful my hubby went out with me. We problem solved this, and I was able to get through and get all of these done today, finish it out before the storms rolled in and before I had to be at work. As I'm going as well, I'm setting up my tomato supports, which this is the first time I'm doing something like this, and I'll explain it as I go. But I am going to go ahead and set those up as I am fixing all of my buckets. I'm getting all of my um, bricks or stones down in place and get this all finished out. I feel extremely grateful that I am able to have these buckets, these planters, and be able to grow these things here in this duplex, and that I still have this opportunity even though I am renting, as long as it's nothing permanent that I am putting into place. I do end up filling the rest of these buckets that top them off with the potting soil that I had bought for seed starting and so forth and for the green stalks. And I decided to use my last of this soil mixture in my green stalks. And so you'll see towards the end, all of a sudden my pots are magically filled up. It's because I topped them off easily without having to mix stuff. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to do today, since my pots all have the holes in them the way they're supposed to, and I have time, I'm going to go ahead and tie these trellises together. Ideally, I would use zip ties because they're definitely stronger, but I'm not going to do that. I have tomato twine, so that's what I'm going to use. This is a plastic polyurethane twine. It's pretty strong. So I'm going to go ahead and use that over here to tie these together, to tie my white ones together, and then to also wrap around my teepees and get that taken care of. You'll get a better angle of this in a minute, but I'm basically just tying a few knots right here, trying to make sure this is really secure towards the top, I'm going to take the twine, wrap it over the top section a little bit. Once it's wrapped over the top section, then I am going to loosely wrap and feed it down through the edges of this and really combine it all the way down to the bottom, and then tie it off at the bottom. Apparently me recording this did not work, so I'm going to show you. I tied it down at the bottom, and then I just kept looping it around, and then secured it through the top pieces. Like, I went through those slots a few times, and then tied a bow and knot, a few things. And then on this one, I tied it up there, looped it around the top, just gave some weave through here. We're going to see how sturdy these are. And my goal is a tomato at the base of that one and a tomato at the base of this one. And that way I can have 2 tomatoes in a tub, which I did in California. I'm hoping I'll have enough wind flow here to stop mildewy issues. But I'm going to do 2 in that tub, and then I will do 2 in this tub. I'm probably going to have some extra tomatoes, and so I'm not buying any more of these trellises for this year. I want to see if these work well. So I have some poles that didn't work great last year. I've used them in the past in California, but I'm going to put the poles into this 3rd bucket. So I'll have 3 buckets of tomatoes. The one with the white is going to be my cucumbers, and then I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do for these last 2, one of them's for sure going to be squash, and I haven't completely decided on the second one. They might both be squash. We'll see. I've been trying to make a few decisions. My original goal was to put some peppers in one of these, but then I kind of switched to putting peppers in the ground, but I don't know. We're going to figure it out. So something's going in this one, and then squash is going in that end one for sure. And then over here, I have peas and beans. And when peas aren't being able to be grown, I'm probably going to grow more beans. And then I have my asparagus. And my goal is to have this bucket next to the asparagus. And that will be carrots and radishes and some other root vegetable things. The bed I have to clean out and weed, but that's all mint growing against the wall back here. That is insane. So my goal is to put okra and then my peppers, but I don't know if I have enough room for all of that. And then I have to top off my GreenStalk still. And I only had 9 strawberries come back in that first GreenStalk tower, and so I have some bare roots on their way. The next one, the middle one, will be a bunch of herbs and things, and then I have the leaf GreenStalk as well, and so I have to clean out the leaf. It had a bunch of stuff that went to seed and got caterpillar damage and all of that. So lots of plants to get out. I feel like I'm a little bit behind, but I guess everybody here doesn't plant till after Mother's Day. I feel like I could have planted beforehand, but that's okay. We are just going to roll with it. So the onions are doing great. They just needed to be weeded around. And so my next project will be topping off the GreenStalks, planting those, getting plants out. Actually, I may plant something out now, because why not? We're going to get rain, we're going to get lightning, everything will get watered in. I was kind of going to wait and see how the wind did with these, but why not? I have some plants I can put out. So I'm going to go grab some plants, and we'll pop a couple of tomatoes in at least, and get those growing. And because that, I'm going to leave that soil at that level and then go from there. so I got these two. I have Cherokee Purple that I bought, and a Sakura. This one was actually given to me, which is awesome. I had bought some peppers from a local person, and they gave me that tomato, which is neat. So what I'm actually going to do here is trim a lot of this stuff off, because I'm going to plant deep. Oh, I made this a double liter. Okay. And then what I can do is I'm also actually going to take off these flowers, because I want this to work on getting buried deep. Man, a tomato plant smells so good. Okay, so I want this to go deep. Get this out of here. So that can go all the way in there. And then I will plant around that. And then what I'll be able to do is train this up here. I'm going to do the same thing on this other one. These plants will be so happy to get into the ground. So I'm going to trim all of this. I'm actually going to trim this one too. This is a grape-sized tomato. So Cherokee is a slicer. Sakura is a grape. Oh, this needed water. So let's make a hole in here. Down under there. Okay. So the other thing I'm going to plant in here is a marigold. Actually, I might plant the marigold here. Plant the marigold towards the edge. And then I'm also going to plant a sweet basil that I had bought, which is really wet. I'm going to pull off leaves at the bottom. I'm covered in yucky, so I'm not going to save those right now. I don't want anything that's touching the dirt to stay down there. Okay. So sweet basil will be down here. I'm probably going to get one more marigold for right here.
Because we had the storms rolling in this day, I went ahead and I tied up the tomato plants. I am trimming a little bit more off of the Cherokee Purple. I do not want any leaves touching the soil, and so as these continue to grow, I will still trim off these lower branches because I really don't want anything to touch the ground. I want the airflow. I did add basil and marigolds in there, which is going to affect the airflow at the bottom. But tomato wise, I really want that clear. And so I'm going to go ahead and tie these tomatoes up, giving some leeway because these stems are going to grow thicker. So give some leeway for them to grow up, and I'll keep an eye if I didn't do it tight enough. And then, so I tie both tomato plants to the trellises. And what I ended up planting this day was the Cherokee Purple and the Sakura in this bin. The next one, I did a Berries Crazy Cherry and a Trip L crop, I believe. And then the bin with the tall poles has the Arkansas Traveler tomato and another Berries Crazy Cherry. That's my favorite cherry tomato. So hopefully we are tomato cherry rich this year. I am taking a risk putting all this out. I'm just crazy. Luckily, we were overcast the rest of yesterday when I was doing this, and most of today we were overcast. So that was a saving grace for these plants.
Okay, I am wrapping it up for the day. I have to leave for work in 30 minutes and I am a disaster, so I gotta go jump in the shower and eat something. But we went ahead, I just went ahead and planted you saw the tomatoes, the basil, and the marigolds. Again, tomatoes, basil, and marigold. That's the same thing here again with the poles. I went ahead and planted the seeds for my cucumbers that I'm doing. And I decided to go ahead and put some of my peppers in here. I planted seeds for some squash, summer squash, and some radishes in that bucket. And then, well, you didn't see all this because I was busting a move over here. Because the wind is rolling in and you could tell the weather's going to be coming in pretty soon. So I have beans planted here. I have peas planted here, and I will add the twine to that later. And then underneath here, I got this filled with dirt, and I watered it down, and I planted some carrot seeds. I don't want them to wash away with the storm, so I have that going on. I'll come back and make sure they get some water in a couple days. And then I'm going to flip the camera around for this. So my onions, I went ahead and kind of weeded this. I've got the rest of my sweet peppers here. I have a habanero that I got to figure out what I'm going to do with. I think it's going to go up front actually. And then I did plant one row of beet seeds, one row of turnip seeds, and one row of radish seeds. I put 2 calendula in the ground, a dill, and a pineapple sage. And then I have my 3 okras I went ahead and put in the ground as well. And then I'll come through and reweed this and do a better job with it later. So next week when it stops raining, I just have to mix the last of the soil up and refill my green stalks. Get some of my herbs planted. I have the habanero and the comfrey, and I think I'm going to up-pot that aloe because I want to be able to bring it in the winter. But yeah, we've got lots going on. We got a whole lot done today, more than I was actually planning on getting done today, so that's awesome. Right now I got to get inside and get ready to go. Part of this redness is not sunburn, it is just me pushing it, and so I'm gonna go in, get cooled down, get some water. I haven't eaten anything at all today actually, and it's like noon, so I'm gonna go eat something and get myself ready to walk out the door. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we will see you back for the next video.